Hey, it's the Crypto Sniper. Looking at a token we haven't looked at in a long time. The privacy, the secrecy token, XMR Monero. It's the king of the privacy tokens. And it's kind of interesting because like most of crypto, there was a localized high and it was in and around the 520 level. We've had the pullback that's occurred on Bitcoin and all of the tokens to a degree, and then we've been in this basing. We've spoken of the market. It's actually a very unideal situation, the crypto market generally, by the way. Let's take a small segue before I drill into Monero too much. Essentially, you've got a contraction on the economy. You haven't had QE yet to do the fundamentals. But you do have crypto as an alternative asset category to collapsing stocks, sitting in between pumping gold and collapsing stocks and collapsing bonds. Not quite the chosen one, gold has been recently, but certainly going to play some role in the future. And so you have this sort of stagnating, not easy to short, not easy to long, choppy market. At the end of the day, we breakout traders. We like low volatility squeezes and then sudden violent moves. It's not been the environment to the upside or the downside for that. You can see the selling here in Monero is quite choppy. No clear structure as to why it sold off. And then that's been a localized low, almost a double bottom. So we also speak, let's take that off. So we're drawing pictures for you, almost like a M bottom. I'm going to show you this. Like that. Again, key neckline in and around 177.35. We'd drawn this some time ago, actually, because we have an interest in the secrecy token, like any other. It's been around for the longest, and who knows if it's still truly secret and whether some are backdoors or not. Privacy is the word, not secrecy, but nonetheless, it's one we watch. So this started to look like basing out and turning. Then what you got, back to the transgender pink color, we got this move like that. That's in essence a first impulse for us. We'd noticed that there was a degree of squeezing in an ascending structure. Third, roughly over there, and in fact you got a squeezy within a squeezy and you went real low volatility. You know that talk about low volatility I was just going on about? Well, there's that, and you can see actually our draw tool was even highlighting that there's a squeeze under a squeeze. You could have had a stop there and you could have been long there, and where would the target have been? Well, the target was two places. We had two target levels. By the way, we didn't take this, we didn't trade it, we drew it a while ago. We've come back and seen that some stuff has happened. And I'm going to refer back to stuff has happened because somebody has a theory that they've tweeted out that I'll be showing you shortly as well. But before we do, let's just stay on the technicals. So our first impulse, our second, and our third in there. And the HVF target here and the M bottom that I drew in blue, a little higher still. So 296 to around 316. A huge spike through, run, and then a fizzle all the way back after a pause. Where did it pause? Let's have a look. Where did it pause? Well, you'll see first interim and second interim. When you have two interim levels very close to each other, you typically take them both and pause longer. That's kind of how it happens because they're kind of like mini targets, but still within the fact that you are expected to go higher for later. So you had up, down, up, down, up, down. You actually had quite a skittish hammer, which is classic of something that's just about to go up. Little lesson to the wise. Often you get a flush out to the downside before you get your expected move. And that catches everybody who doesn't understand the rule of stop placement. The stop should have been down here and you should have been in early. Had you trailed stops take you out of great trades. Just listen to me here. Trust me. Trailed stops take you out of great trades. Size correctly from the very beginning. Leave the stop there. Write the check for the amount you're losing, which should be a very small percentage of your overall size, and leave it. If you trailed it up to where you entered for break-even trade, you might have even been gapped, had a loss here, and then watched it smash to target. And here's the beautiful thing about targets. having a target on gets you lucky, because you get out on the top instead of always getting out on a bottom. Stops are awful exits, because it's every time the market is moving poorly against your move that you get slipped and you get out on the low end, often the bottom of downsides. And the exact same applies for targets, but people don't put in targets. They want a lottery ticket to the moon. What if it spiked to infinity, they think? And guess how many times they get a spike to infinity? Not very often, 0. But those exits there were very interesting indeed. And now a big fizzleback. So what was the story? Well, as I say, a bit of a different YouTube for you today. But if we have a look at this, somebody was saying something 9 hours ago. So this was 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago. In fact, I've taken an hour to get ready to do the clip. So that might have even been 4 or 5 hours ago. And that was 9 hours ago. So we're talking about 12 hours plus ago. A suspicious transfer was made from a potential victim for 3,520 Bitcoin. Wow, that's quite some statement to deduce, unless you know something. I don't know who Zach XBT is. I wouldn't know how you would know that somebody who holds 330 million, call it $331 million in BTC, has been ransomed for $331 million, 3,520 Bitcoin, and then drops the address. Shortly after the funds began to be laundered via 6+ instant exchanges and swapped for XMR, causing the XMR price to spike 50%. Well, you were down here. Your entry, by the way, would have been 166, and getting out at 316 is a lot more than 50%. So the implication of that, of some criminal activity of someone clearly very wealthy, is kind of difficult to believe that that person would have that degree of knowledge. But here we go. We have an ascending HVF with structure that broke, smashed it up to a level, made the top line target, is in a fizzle back. It's fizzled back further, as you've seen since. It's down here somewhere. And the allegation is it's some form of dodgy transaction. HVF method, has it really predicted something that was going to lead to a surge in demand for Monero in advance of it actually happening? Because this whole structure started over here. Now I can tell you, we have similar setups for Tron and a few others. In fact, there's a bit of a basing generally on some alts with a little bit of a mildly bullish upside. So is it really been predicted that that transaction would come through? Or is it some statist ruse? Remember, your controllers moving some dodgy money around. I don't really know. In fact, I would like to know, what do you guys make of this? Personally, I don't know what to make of it. Was some rich dude squeezed? Or is it some statist ruse? And how did Monero know that it was going to get bought up to set up the HVF? Or is that all just part of a little bit of a recovery vibe in the alts? Let me know your answers in the response below. But here we are, sitting looking at Monero, watching it make a substantial move and wick all the way down. If this is a basing move, let's just show you that last high here and maybe give you a bit more context. I would say we'd continue to see this cup formation to develop out, and that at some point we may start to see demand, and I'd love that, for secrecy. Privacy, again, let me stick with the word privacy tokens, particularly the original guy. But I would also point out that there are other alts not overtly involved in privacy that have been making a rounded bottom in terms of the time frame since the 2021 high, this alleged bull market that we're supposed to be in that have been a little bit limp all the way here, now starting to get a little bit of a twitch. What do you think? Is privacy back? Is it specific to privacy tokens? Is it alts generally? Should, I suppose, even though I wanted to make a short YouTube clip, take at least a look at total 3 without the disappointing Ethereum. Let's have a look at that. Oh, isn't that interesting? My draw tool on total 3, in terms of where I set it for Monero, has sat and drawn a structure for you on total 3. I haven't been to total 3 in a while. Big first impulse, down leg, nice little squeeze for an up leg during the course of 2023, bringing you into 24 with a little bit of zip. Remember, Bitcoin was moving up during that time and leading dominance. Then we had a little bit of a pullback period for both Bitcoin, kind of a channel there. Real low vol and a little bit of a pullback. Clear triggering event. First interim made. Oh, second interim made. What's happened? Support on first interim. I assure you it's purely coincidence. There isn't anything to this HVF method in any way. Pullback, support. What could we hope to see to the upside? Potentially. Target on the alts, 2.4 trillion. Now, I must also quickly rush and point out that this is on log scale. Down here, the cog, it'll say log. It doesn't look far, but you're currently on the alts at 625. My apologies. The eyes, 825, 825. 825 to 2.4 is a 3x, friend. That's right. Write it in Greek Aramaic, as the great Jesus Christ was Greek Aramaic. Don't know why I slipped that in, finding God in my moment. Yep, not to be confused with being something else, for example, as you've been told. 2.4 trillion, murdered of course by the Pharisees, the money extracting and lending Pharisees. So that pullback, it must be some form of late Easter Tourette's that I'm suffering from here. That will represent a 3x of alts. That'll have XRP in it. That'll have XLM in it. It'll have Binance in it. Yes, that one that was setting up to do something. Would have been nice if it was downside because it had good structure, but could also have been a descending one to the upside. Remember the previous video? Go and watch the last one if you missed it. So it's quite kind of interesting that there's a target for that. By the way, this channel's come a long way back. You don't just moon to 3x in a jiff. But if we get a little bit of a change of the narrative, gold resting, doesn't look like it's finished coming off yet. So it could be like that small localized. Let's just have a look. Having said that, it's now zipping up. But this is, yeah, I wouldn't rush to call the correction over. But it might be. It might be. You could go into a W bottom like this. Let's go back to our little boy blue. You might have a double bottom, in which case that's a base. But when I was looking at this morning, we were down here, and it kind of looked like it could have gone a bit further. We'll see what goes. But the thing is, if gold is not doing anything too spectacular, this was kind of spectacular. Very small winding up. See that target right there? It's good that gold does well for crypto because it's the king of anti-fiats, but not too well because then it sucks the oxygen out of the room and out of the lungs of crypto. Okay, so this is okay. Big moons like that means gold is getting the love, in most instances not crypto. Broadening, downside, descending, continuation to a top there. So there you go. So I wonder what that means. A recovery for gold, maybe not too bad for crypto. Let's just do a quick run by. The story was about Bitcoin, but let's do a quick run by Bitcoin. So we did say that the 93 is going to be a level that it might muck about at. And in terms of what's going on, it's a little bit above, a little bit below. It's kind of, these are very low vol. That's not necessarily bad. In most instances, it's kind of bullish. Low volatility. So since this strong move that came off that fractal squeeze there, that had a little bit of M bottom here with that neckline there, that sees us call for that 99,251 stroke 100,000. You see the 100,000 is the top line, the purple line is the 99,251. I could see this doing whatever it needs to do. Maybe it dips a little first, then goes there, there, and there. But it'll probably find a bit of winding up strength to finish that little run. I'm not sure this is obscene strength. That was quite a lot stronger period going into that than this is, that you just smash ahead of the next high immediately. I think you could pause and rest after this. Could have a stock take and hang about. But broadly, low vol, somewhat benign. Back to that indicator that we were wrong on, which was the dominance. Very slow walkout just through the low we thought should probably stand. We changed our mind on that and said, okay, we're wrong. That's not the turn yet. But what I just drew for you on total with a 3x from current level, that would be a turning of this. You've had the channel on the total down, back to the funnel. Support on that first interim and the funnel. Probably can start walking out again, total 3. This could start to turn. Very low vol. This is inversions, by the way. So this chart is upside down and it's Bitcoin dominance. I should say that at the beginning. So we revisit it. We spoke about it last video as well. Low vol. It's kind of low vol. Very, 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 very. These are little ants walking in a very tight little street. You know, even tighter than it was before. Previously, when you sold off, you slammed on the downside. This has been a walkout. You only can say you slammed there, there, and very early on. Since then, it's been a walkout, and you've had quite a strong rally. One candle sell-off. Low vol, low vol. At some point, this turns, in my view. I would say there. I'd be shocked if we get into this half, but could be shown to be wrong. But I'd be shocked. This is the red levels that we are seeing it. And again, still can't help but think we might not be too far away. Refer you back to that total. So, what's the reasons XMR, the reasons when we started this video, suddenly spiked what the others thought was 50%? And why was it basing before? If it was really all about just that one piece of news, why did it jump so much subsequently? Is it really this Bitcoin story being laundered, or is it something else? Okay. Love to hear your responses below. Don't forget, by the way, you can book a call. Goal is maximizing wealth, preserving capital, and also securing freedoms for your future life in an environment where totalitarianism, CBDCs, UBI, wealth stripping, asset stripping by the control structure is almost invariably their agenda. And we're going into troubled waters in terms of the TradFi space. And that hasn't changed. And we've had, in my opinion, the tariff tantrum is the first leg of probably a 5-leg down. You may have a rally now. The longest and biggest is the next crisis that strikes, typically in Fibonacci theory, leg 3, after a rally and a little bit of hyper-normalization. That's going to get everybody's attention. Bang! Then you'll have a, oh, thank God this is a bottom, and all the bottom callers, and then a final washout down leg, the 5th, which absolutely lays everybody to waste and feels like they've run a marathon and they can't take anymore. At that point, you'll be ready for whatever they're offering, unless You've maximized your wealth, preserved your capital, and secured yourself some freedoms. Book a call below to explore that further in terms of your plans for the future in the current economic environment. Bye for now.
Tired of profit wipeouts and blown accounts from following trade signal groups and other YouTube channels? Looking for a better way to trade, reduce your stress, and minimize your risk? Become a skilled technical analyst and see the charts and markets in a new light using the successfully proven HVF method by Francis Hunt, while being surrounded and supported by a principled, structured, and experienced community. Enjoy a constructive learning environment while practically trading markets, supported by a bespoke platform run through browser and app, specifically designed to teach and engage you whilst learning and growing as the markets move. This is not a Telegram or Slack signal group. All trade ideas are based on a proprietary technical analysis process honed over decades, which is the HVF method, leading to trade ideas with fast-moving breakouts and tight stops, exact entries and exits, nuanced interim considerations, and ultimately, strong rewards. Submissions are graded and scored by Francis for potential high-quality setups, and we provide bespoke tools to help get the job done properly and with precision. Over time and with focused effort, you'll begin to look at charts and price action just like Francis. Community updates every day by Francis and our 3 webinars a week provide a 360-degree approach, which are presented by our experienced team of trade leaders to spot potential trades. We're a community of self-actualized individuals, spanning the globe and active 24/7, 365. The premium community provides a warm, supportive, and cooperative place for people willing to listen, participate, contribute, and to learn. We've changed thousands of traders' lives. Transform your approach to trading now. Transform your life. Book an introductory call with us on the link below.